All right, guys, it is that time. You are on the Rick Ginn YouTube channel. My name is Rick Ginn, and all we do basically here is talk about wholesaling. So, those of you that don't know me, once again, it's Rick, and I've been wholesaling for 21 years. And in today's topic, I'm going to show you how to turn $300. That's right, three $100 bills into 200K. I've done this time and time and time again. I've taught thousands of people exactly how to do this. And today I'm going to share with you the exact strategy you can implement and copy from me to actually do this. You see, the reality is if you do wholesaling correctly, it actually requires none of your money and you can minimize your risk. Don't worry, I'll show you how to do it. If you guys are brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go over to freewholesaling.com. And in that section, you will find a course me and my son have created 100% for free. It'll not only teach you how to do your first deal, teach you how to easily get to your first 100 grand. And if you hate your job, like 70% of Americans, if you are stuck in wholesaling, or let's just face it, you learned it from the wrong person, this is a great place to start. The really cool thing about freewholesaling.com is there's no credit card. I show you 100% of the course. And what am I trying to do? I'm basically trying to bribe you in exchange for letting me to work with you, to do JV deals with you. But you've got to be proficient and go out and learn how to wholesale. Now, I'm here to tell you, if you learned wholesaling in the last 7 years, you probably got spoiled. You probably learned a niche way to do it, and you're probably struggling with that right now. If that's you, great. This is the perfect live stream for you. Now, a couple ways you can communicate with me. Number one, you have the comment section. Please just introduce yourself. Let me know what market you're in. You can tell me if you're a beginner, if you're working on a deal, or you've done like your 10,000 deal. I don't care. And there's really cool people in here that you can work with. You can network to, if you want to JV or do deals with that, just make sure you vet them correctly. And if you have a question, just ask it there. You just type it right on your keyboard, and it's really cool. The second level you can connect with me, where most of you have already jumped on it, is you can click the link under the comment section under Rick Ginn, and that will allow you to enter our mastermind, which is basically a one-on-one where you talk to me live. You don't have to show your mug. I don't care. It makes it a little bit more personable. And I do that on a first come, first serve basis. And the idea is if you want to talk about wholesaling, you want to get something out of your head and figure it out, or you actually want to work on a deal, or you want advice on a marketing strategy, this is the greatest way to do it. So you got the comments, you got the mastermind. Let's jump into it. I'm going to take this time to go over on how to turn that $300 into 200K. And you guys might be shocked in what I tell you. So I know most of you are probably going, well, wait a minute. Let me take this off the screen there. $300. I already told you, you don't need money to do this. So many of you guys think you have to throw money at a guru to figure out the shortcut to wholesaling. Number one, there is no shortcut. And anyone who even tries to tell you a shortcut, anyone who tells you, I can show you how to take your wholesale deals and sell them to retail customers, big push on that right now. That's not wholesaling. That's speculative. Go see a realtor or go see a wholesaler that's becoming a realtor, because that's going to be a tiny little window and it's never going to work. I don't teach novations. That's not wholesaling at all. It has nothing to do with wholesaling, honestly. And fix and flip is a product of wholesaling. Wholesalers find deals that need work, and fix and flip guys and gals fix them up. I don't teach any of that stuff. You see, somehow we've lost the art of wholesaling, and I'm here to remind you today exactly how it works. Now, you're probably saying, Rick, if I send you $300, will you show me how to get a deal? I'm even going to do better. Don't send me the $300. Go over to freewholesaling.com and just pretend you paid me $300, $3,000, or $30,000 and take the business seriously. Guys, you cannot do this part-time and dabble in it. It's probably not going to work out. So instead of sending me $300, I'm going to show you how to apply that $300. And if you don't have $300, good. Actually, I can show you how to be a better wholesaler than a person that's got $50,000 sitting on the sideline. And I'm going to tell you right now. Number one, if you learn how to do wholesaling with little to no money, you don't have resources, meaning you don't have money to pay for all these services to go out and help you find all these great software companies to find your deals. And I'm letting you know it is a superpower for you. Why? Because if you don't have resources, you're going to have to learn how to be resourceful. Resourcefulness is reserved for people that have little to no money, but they have time. And if that's you, you're on the perfect live stream with me. You are going to have to get really creative. And I like that. But here's the really cool part is once you learn how to do it, I want you to imagine what you could do if you actually had capital and money at your fingertips to spend anytime you want. The reality is once you figure out how to find motivated sellers, how to actually talk to them, and that's a big part of it, guys. And the only way you can experience talking to motivated sellers is actually reaching out and talking to them, even if you fail. That's right. Because as you talk to thousands and thousands of them, I'm not exaggerating that number, you know how to handle any objection. You're extremely confident in yourself. And the journey of wholesaling, that's the person that's going to forge you when you know nothing, because you got to have the guts and the conviction to go out and do this business. And if you can do that with little to no money, I promise you, with the slightest bit of money, you will blow the rooftops off wholesaling. You see, so many of these gurus are like, pay me $5,000, pay me $10,000. Like it's a rich man's sport. It's not. The best wholesalers are the ones that started with little to no money. I am one of them, guys. I started with $300. That's why I titled this thing $300, and I've turned it into a multi-million-dollar dynasty. Now, I sucked when I started. I'll be the first to tell you to, but I'm just telling you, stop thinking you need a ton of money to start this business. This business is all about finding motivated sellers. And when you find them, you can either partner up with someone like me and Zach. I'll teach you on how to do it on your own, or you can find your own partner. I don't care. It does not require millions of dollars. It is a complete opposite. Wholesaling, if you do it correctly, you're not actually buying the property, you're selling the contract. You've got to find the right contracts to get under. So let's get into it. Let's see here. I have prepared. So $300,000 into $200K. First of all, if you think that is not possible, you probably just got to get off the live stream. If you can't think it, you cannot do it. Honestly, if I took that $300 and just throw that out and made it zero, do you still think it's possible? You're like, I can, Rick, but that's almost literally impossible. That's why I put $300. In my perfect world, I'd give you $0 or $100. But this is the reality. You need some basic things to survive. So I wanted to kind of give you an average number. Now, I like to break down the math and how to achieve it. So if I'm going to do $200K, say, let's just call it a year. If you average $13,000 a deal, it's not perfect math, but how many deals would you actually need? You need about 15 and a half deals. That gets you to $200,000. Extremely reasonable. When I started out in this business way back 21 years ago, I easily averaged $13,000. Now, I think the numbers have gone up. I know there's more competition, but the reality is as you get better at this, your skill set goes up. So 13 is a realistic number, and I want you to understand it. I've got 21 years of data on this. I'm not shooting from the hip. Honestly, I always thought if you can make $5 or $10,000 a deal, which a lot of you are going to start out doing it, you might have to do 20 deals. But as you get better and you get more experience, your average wholesale assignment fee will definitely go up. So it will probably double, if not 2.5 times easily. So let's start with the basics. And here's the thing is, this is not mind-blowing stuff, and you're not going to get this from other gurus because so many other gurus are so busy buying software, chasing lists. And don't get me wrong, I do that. But we need to start with the groundswell stuff, the stuff you can get your best bang for your buck. Now, if I'm starting out today, and by the way, I'm creating this list. If you threw me in wholesaling today, or I had to start over and you took everything I had, you took all my real estate, you took my money out of my account, you took everything. This is exactly what I would do to jumpstart my wholesaling. Now remember, wholesaling can be, some people treat it like a season. I treat wholesaling as a marathon. So you have marathon runners and then you have sprinters. You all know who the sprinters are. The sprinters are the people that when wholesaling is really good, they act like it's unbelievable. You can never go wrong with it. And when they struggle with wholesaling, they disappear off the internet. Instead of doing 5 live streams, they cut down to 1 and they stop doing it. Those are what you call sprinters. And if you align yourself with people like that, you're going to mimic exactly what they do. Me, a marathon runner, which by the way, I've never officially run a marathon. I've done a half a marathon, is we keep going no matter what's going on in the market. You see, wholesaling works in every market. I've been through the worst market and the best market within my 21 years. And it's crazy. I went through the absolute best market recently, like most of you. And back in 2008, I went through the worst market in US history in real estate. Here's the one thing is, you have to be a marathon runner to survive in wholesaling. If you think it's tough one day and you want to quit, don't start. It's just the easiest way to do this. And so many gurus and influencers said, listen, I'm going to start out. They started out like 5-7 years ago. It was so easy, guys. Honestly, I think you had children flipping properties. But now that you actually have to do wholesaling, they don't want to do it anymore. Why? Because you actually have to work. And I'm here to tell you. So let's get to work. Let's show you how to do it. The first technique I would do, which is one of my staple foundations of how I found it, because it's all about speed to lead. And I'm going to talk a lot about guerrilla marketing. And if you guys don't know what guerrilla marketing is, it comes from a military term, guerrilla. So if you had to attack a troop of, say, 5,000 and say you only had 300 soldiers, you would go right off the bat like, we're in big trouble. If you use guerrilla warfare tactics, you have to make those 300 people seem like they're 10,000. How do you do it? You have to do it with precision, and you have to overwhelm people in small areas. And this is how it works. Number 1, bandit signs. I know these things are an eyesore. They're a pain in the butt. I don't even like them in my own city to a point. I can't do them in my city because I signed off with my local market. But there are still markets we do it in. I'm not going to announce the world so people can't go hunt me down, chase me for fines. But a bandit sign is just an 18 by 24. You want to get white signs is 3 lines. Do not, and I repeat, from a guy who used to own a sign company and made a lot of money doing it, do not order bulk signs from these mass printers. You're going to get killed. They are not going to do what you think. And a lot of you go, well, I'll buy 500, 1,000. It'll be cheaper. Honestly, it's going to wind up being $3 or $4 a sign. And then you're going to have to pay an enormous shipping cost because it weighs a ton. And you're going to change your marketing message and your ideas 1,000 times. So here's what you do. Go out, I'll put it on here. You want to go out and go get 1 to 15 signs. You can do it at the big box stores. You can find a local sign company. You should be able to order them online. Just get them blank, get them as cheap as you possibly can. Print on one side, big fat black Sharpie marker on the top. Sell your house today. Any situation, any condition, and your virtual phone number. That's it. Guys, I've done bandit signs forever. Anything more than 3 lines, it kills your message, and you want to have a call to action and have them call you, and only do it on one side. Here's the key. From a guy who used to go out and put out 100 to 200 signs every weekend religiously for 2 years, here's what I found. If you use a guerrilla marketing method where you just infiltrate between 10 and 15 signs in a tight area where you have high traffic, but people can stop and take a picture of the sign. You see, I've been around bandit signs so long, we used to have to write down the phone number. Now, everybody takes their phone and takes a quick picture of it. If they can't take a picture of it, you do not have a good area for a bandit sign. Best places, Walmart. Oh my God, the entrance exits of Walmarts are phenomenal. Home Depots aren't bad. Lowe's, they don't really monitor the signs. And understand, you got to find places where there's high traffic, like a Target. Target likes to pick up the signs. Walmart's not as diligent about it. And what happens is you'll blitz over a 30 to 60 day period. You're going to find where these signs actually produce. And here's the key. Pick them up and move them of the signs you have left. And if you don't get a phone call off of them, move to another area. This is like having 500 signs. You're just moving them. And then you can find new prospects in each area. You're going to get harassed by code enforcement, sometimes by the store owners. Suck it up, Buttercup, because I'm trying to teach you an advanced guerrilla marketing technique that works really well. Most people pay $2,000 to $3,000 to do this technique. You can do it right there on there for under 25 bucks all day long. Get creative with stakes. You can do wooden. You can do the rebar over in the Home Depot low section and cut them. All you need to do is you need a grinder wheel or just a bolt cutter. I recommend a bolt cutter and put them out. Here's the big secret to bandit signs. You guys have to answer your phones live. And I'm telling you, I've made millions from bandit signs. I love bandit signs and they work. But if you don't answer your phones live, they don't work. Take these 10 and 15 signs and keep moving around. And honestly, if you have to spend money on, say, 5 signs every week, it will not break your bank account. So even if that 25 wound up being 50, you'll be in good shape. Now, as I said, keep the signs moving. I learned over the years, I used to put out between 100 and 200, and it was much more effective to take 10 or 15 signs, blitz an area, see what kind of leads I got. And sometimes I got nothing. Sometimes all the signs got picked up, but eventually I'd move and I'd find a sweet spot. Once you find that sweet spot, work it as hard as you humanly possibly can till they shut you down. Now, you do got to check your local city ordinance and stuff. Some of these people are very difficult on you. So just be mindful of it. And honestly, Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays are the best days to get traffic off these signs. Now, I say $25. I'm going to add the next one's driving for dollars. So if you got a big gas guzzler truck like I got, go find a little small car to drive around in it. But I'm just telling you, driving for dollars, hands down, to me, it's just as important as bandit signs. You got to get in your car and you got to hunt. Now, if you're in a very affluent neighborhood and it's out of your price range, go to your blue collar neighborhoods. These are working regular people that need regular houses, that go to work every day and they're in high demand and they're in affordable price range. Once you find these, put some gas in your car and go fill up on leads. This is a volume game. Okay. You need to get 200. I know it's a lot, but I'm telling you, by doing the driving for dollars, you get such a head start on everyone else because number one, you're already finding problematic houses. So say you got 200 leads and say I got a lead, say I got a big giant leads of say 10,000. Your 200 driving for dollars leads is like 25 times my 10,000, meaning it's much more precise, it's much more accurate, and you're much faster to getting a lead. See, if I do a 10,000 list on average, I need about 7,000 to 8,000 leads just to get one contract. Now, don't get me wrong. That's a shotgun approach on a specialized list. When I do driving for dollars, we're anywhere from 200 to around 450 leads to get one contract. An incredible difference over a regular list. And now that you already know the house has issues and stuff like that, it should give you more confidence to do those lists. They work really well. So go get a car. Don't buy another car. Just maybe borrow a spouse's or mom and dad's car and find a car that's a little bit more affordable on gas. And pay attention. Don't get an accident. And for God's sakes, do it during the daytime. It is not very effective at night. Slow driving in front of people's houses. Ask me how I know this. It's not, and you can't see a damn thing. So don't do it. I know some of you go, oh, I work all day. That's what I do. Take your time after you get off work and take an extra hour and drive home and try a different route every time doing it. Now, I'm going to work through this list rather quickly because I want to get on the lives with you guys. And I'll answer all your questions on there. So let me highlight here. So digital bandit signs. I'm not going to go into grave detail. If you want to learn how this, go over to freewholesaling.com. We basically take the physical bandit signs and we put them in groups we're already organically involved in, and we post. And we do a bridge post. We don't do a spam post. What's the spam post? I just joined Wholesaling Houses for Real, and I'm looking for all you. I'm looking for the areas where you guys want to do a deal with me. Send me all your cash buyers. You get deleted, and you're no longer part of the group that's spamming. A bridge post says, I'm in a dog group. I love dogs. Hey, look at the picture of my silly dog. He's so cute. By the way, if you're a dog lover like me and you have a house you need to sell for cash, I can definitely help you out, and I will give your dog plenty of love. See, it's just nothing more than a bridge post. You do it organically and you don't get kicked out, and you get some credibility. Yeah. Are you marketing? Yeah, you are, but you're doing it in a nice manner. So I'm going to keep moving down because the digital bandit signs, it works. You just got to be consistent about it, and you cannot break the rules doing it. If you're just going to spam and give it to your VA, don't use that method. I see a lot of you guys just jamming VAs with this thing, and it gets them kicked out every time. So not only are you paying a VA, but you're getting blocked on all these sites. It's not a good way to go. So the next one is our good old fashioned government list. But what I'm going to do is target the specific list that we need to make work. Okay. Code violation. There's a reason I put it first. I've used this list since 2003, and I've never stopped using it. You want to do open code violations in the last 30 days. Remember, you're going to get resistance. You overcome it with persistence. The next one, pre-foreclosures and tax delinquency. These three lists right here, if you look to the right next to it, what do I tell you to do? You're going to take these lists, you're going to organize them, and you're going to do what we call reverse driving for dollars, which is nothing more than a fancy way of sticking a note on the door. It can be pink, yellow, chartreuse, whatever color you want to do. Got a quick question about your house, Rick, and put your phone number. If you put out 100, 15 people call you back, saves you 85 painful conversations. It's extremely efficient with Ring doorbells, everything else. Guys, it works. Is it a pain in the butt? Absolutely. Are you going to spend time? Yes. Are you going to use gas money? Absolutely. But I included that in your driving for dollars gas budget. So the next thing you're going to do after you do that list is you're going to take all your government list, code violations, tax delinquencies, evictions, everything, and you're just going to cold call them. And you're thinking, okay, Rick, how do I cold call these lists? I got to get their number. You're going to skip trace it. You have a couple options. Option number one is the free route, but it's going to cost you time. TruePeopleSearch.com. Okay. Go in there and find these people's phone numbers and call them. I'm going to put it right up here for you. Really simple. Now you can use paid services, smsact.com. You can go through Batch, which is a wonderful way to do it. You can do it listaria.com through Prop. But if you don't have any money and you can't do that now, on average, it's going to cost you between 12 and 14 cents, depending on what special someone's running. So you can do the math if you had to run a big list, and you can make that part of the $300 budget. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to cold call our government list, and I'm going to add one more to stack up the odds in your favor. Remember, you gave me $300. Let's work with it. We barely spent any money. Go to listrei.com and pull these lists. Vacants, high equity that are occupied. Now there are two lists. You have vacant properties. I pull it once a quarter and I market the gazebos out of it in all my markets that I service, especially in my local market. We just do well. I only do it once every 3 months because the list gets redundant and it takes a while for people to move out. Now, I put on there, it's $99 a month for a paid subscription to listrei.com. Don't worry. If you don't have it, you get a 7-day free trial period. Test it out. You can still get the data, see if it works for you, and try to get a deal out of that. Now, if you go for 2 months, it's $198. In 2 months, if you can't call on these lists, and by the way, you get 10,000 leads per month. That gives you 20,000 leads, plus your driving for dollars, your reverse driving for dollars, your government lists, the bandit signs, the digital bandit signs. Guys, I'm giving you every reason in the world to get a deal. Okay? You have to do it. Now, you want to get real creative? Add the free niche list. You know what they are. I put it on the bottom here for you. Water shutoffs, fire damage, arrest records. If you want to know more in detail how to do this, go over to freewholesaling.com. because I can only teach you so much in a 20, 30-minute segment. But I tell you, I have so many videos at freewholesaling.com. I will not only teach you how to get started in wholesaling, I will teach you how to become extremely prolific in it. I taught my son, probably one of the best wholesalers around. Obviously, I've been through every known imaginable scenario in wholesaling, and I share this all with you, and you don't even have to whip out a credit card. You can't get better than that. We're also going to add on this, you're going to pull your probates. Now, this really shouldn't cost, but I left $25 for you naysayers out there that are going to charge you for the list, or you got to put gas in your car. Okay. How are you going to contact them? You're going to mail them a simple letter. You got $25 to do that. And then you're going to do what we call a warm call. I teach you how to do all this at freewholesaling.com. A warm call is, remember, probate, somebody passed away. So don't be an idiot and don't be nasty to people. Call them up, see if they have an interest in selling their house, and listen to them very carefully. And do not pound them on price on that first phone call. I show you all how to do it at freewholesaling.com. Also, I give you at freewholesaling.com a template probate letter that I've used for the last 7 years, actually going on 8 years. And so you don't have to overthink. It is a great starting pattern. I want you to customize it a little bit, but it works really well. We get a lot of older people in probate, and they do appreciate the letter. But the warm call, which is in essence a cold call, you are speed to lead. You are the fastest person to it, but sometimes you tick people off. So we use the McDonald's, Burger King approach. So don't forget about that. We're also going to add to this. You want volume. I'm trying to give you every way to get a deal within the $300. For rents, guys, for the longest time, for years, I called religiously on the for rent ads. Now, to me, that's not really cold calling because it's like it's already a warm lead, but it's a hell of a lot better than an MLS lead. Why would you call the for rent ads? Think about this. If someone's looking to rent a property, it means they own it, and they might just not want to do it. Listen, being a landlord is a pain in the butt. I've been a landlord for over 20 years. There's days I just don't want to do it. Today's one of the days. I had a difficult tenant. I got a difficult report. The place is rough. It's going to be a pain in the butt. It's going to be 2 months before I get the place back up and running. Honestly, somebody hits me with the right offer, it's yours. But guess what I'm doing right now? I'm running for a rent ad. There's thousands and thousands of people like me running rent ads out there. You make my life easy and you give me a number I want and you take it as is, it's all yours. You got to go through a lot of them. Okay. Also, you can do the FSBOs. I'm not as big of a fan as FSBOs. I know my son loves FSBOs, but I will tell you the one thing with FSBOs, you're going to need an incredible amount of volume and you're going to need a lot of patience and a lot of time. Now, FSBOs are easy on the front, just like they teach you those MLS, broker outreach programs, whatever they call it. It sounds super sexy, sounds super easy. You get the phone number, you get the price, you get the pictures, the property's vacant. What more can you ask for? The problem is FSBO owners, sometimes they want more than they want on the MLS, and I find them annoying. Now, if you find the person in the right situation at the right time, you can get a deal. But keep in mind, you're probably going to make thousands of phone calls. That's why I kind of put it on this last. And the last one, which a lot of you just overlook, some of you, this is your only strategy because somebody taught you this, and this should not be your only strategy, but go hunt for JV opportunities. How do I do it? Number one, you network with people like in this group. Now, I think most people are genuine in this group, but I know there's people that just go and hunt groups. So if you can't connect with a person, don't ever try to do a deal with them. And try to find people that complement your weakness. If you're really good at working with motivated sellers and you suck at dispositions, find someone that can help you maximize the profit. Avoid greedy wholesalers. Rick, what do you mean by greedy wholesalers? This is what I mean. When you have a deal and you got it on a contract, so you got a contract for 100, and you say, listen, here's what a greedy wholesaler does. How much do you want for it? And either you offer them a number, or I got to tell you what, just bring a cash buyer in it and I'll split anything over it. I have it under contract for 100. Well, what if I bring you a buyer for 125? Yeah, we can split it. Here's what a greedy wholesaler does. No. I'll bring you a buyer at 125, but I'm getting 70% of it. If they do that, just get out. Like, move on. Don't do it. They are greedy. They are looking for a one-sided transaction. Unless that's the only way you can get it done. It makes no sense why wholesalers do this. And they do it all over the country. They did it to me for years. And I had someone call me the other day. Ready for this? They called us. They called and they submitted a deal, I think, through sellmypaper.com. And I recognized the email address. I knew exactly who it was. And we reached out to their team. And guess what? They wanted to do the deal. They only wanted to give me 20% of the spread. I go, I don't get out of bed for 20%. Okay, guys, can you imagine, like, what is the win? A JVs should potentially be a 50-50, maybe 60-40 if someone's bringing money, but 80-20 and you're not even from my town, you don't know how to sell it. You got to be kidding me. Like, you can't work with people like that. Drives me nuts. So, guys, that is it. I think I still stayed well under the $300. And honestly, I prefer you do it well under $300 because it's never about money on these deals. I'm telling you. So let's do this. Let's run through the comments real quick, and then we'll jump on the live. So here's a good one. Jared says, hey, Rick, how do you deal with phone calls, especially if you work full time? You got to have a plan. So keep in mind, I worked full time, I believe, almost 8 months. It was 7 or 8 months. And when I say full time, it was crazy. I had a 70 to 80 hour work week schedule. I ran an entire sales staff, basically kind of like a retail operation. It was actually enterprise rent-a-car. And you guys get stuck in that one. I can give you lots of advice on that. But I had freedom to make phone calls back. So at the time, I couldn't answer calls live, but back then it wasn't as big of a deal. Right now, if I was in your position, Jared, I would find, depending if you're getting inbound or outbound calls, if you're getting inbound, say like bandit signs and stuff like that, you got to have somebody help you out with the phones, and you just got to cut them in on the deal. Because if someone can help answer the phones live, it makes a tremendous difference. But listen, some of you guys have jobs where you just can't answer the phone, and I get it. So come up with a plan. The worst case scenario is, I guess you could let it go to voicemail, but understand it's going to be a real fight to get them back on that. So you got to kind of spell out your business plan and figure a way to do it. I'm a big fan of making sure you fulfill your obligations. I had 2 young children. I had a mortgage. I was in over my head in bills. I didn't have a choice. I couldn't just quit and go into wholesaling. I had to transition. And you know what? The reality is, you guys are going to have to transition off your addiction from the matrix, which is called a paycheck every 2 weeks. Honestly, that's not how life should be. It shouldn't even be close to that. And if you're stuck in that position, take a step out and go, how did I wind up here? And you'll blow your mind away. You wound up there because you became a creature of habit. You let your school system, you let your peers, you let your family and everybody influence in you. And this is how life should be. And it's incorrect. So let's see here. Okay, I highlighted a couple here. Winston got a contract signed today, driving for dollars. Awesome. Went out, did the work, take the action. Now Winston's got to get on there, and hopefully he has cash buyers, or he's scrambling at cash buyers, and he needs to beat his contingency period, his inspection, so he can get that contract sold. So awesome job. Awesome. Okay. Let me see what else I got here. I have one other one that I want to do. And Canap says, I don't think he means to put it all in caps. Maybe he's yelling at me, maybe he's not, but says, how can I attend the live October or April in 2024 event as an international attendee? So you got 2 choices. First of all, to go to the event, you just got to join Flip with Rick Plus. You can figure out, guys, how to get there. It's within freewholesaling.com. And only Flip with Rick Plus people get invited there, because we do it for a fixed amount of people at a very low cost, and it's a very intimate setting. And all we do is teach wholesaling, guys. I have nothing to sell you. Okay. I'm not going to break the bank account. I'm going to give you exactly what you wanted. You got to see every other guru that has these events. Their whole goal is to extract more money out of your pocket. My goal is to make you a better wholesaler, to put deals in your pocket and help you with your business and align with the things that me and Zach do. So number 1, be a member of the Flip with Rick Plus. You'll get incredible fulfillment out of it, because you just basically get more access to me and Zach. And we do 4 extra times a week. Plus you have the ability to direct message us, and then you get access to deals from within our group and community. Number 2, if you want to get on an international flight and fly down to Florida, that's your choice, but I get it. It can be expensive and it's hard to do. The third way is if you're a Flip with Rick Plus member, we record the entire event for you. So you will get the full downloadable version. You'll get everything with that. And then what we're going to try to do is live stream it, but I'm still trying to get details. And unfortunately, I'm going to find out about the Wi-Fi about a week or two before the event is, because I can't test it out ahead of time. So those are your options, Canops. I would love to connect with you either way, but I've made it to where anybody can go and you don't have to pay me a dime. If you do a deal with us and we wind up partnering as JV deals, 50-50, shocker, then you get to go to the event for free. So I will share some, we'll share some, I'll share the links a little bit later. So let's jump into and let's do the live. So let me jump down here. Where did I miss this? Okay.
Making an old custom.
JD, you there?
Wanted to know if you're interested as well.
You got the wrong number.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Have a great day.
JD's cold calling. What's up, JD?
Oh, hi, Rick. How are you? Sorry.
That's all right, man. Listen, kudos to you, like cold calling while you're trying to like figure things out as well too, like extremely efficient though. I got to give you a lot of credit for that.
All right, thank you. I think I got
it's kind of funny because how old are you, JD?
17.
So you remind me a lot of my son when he started in this business. So a lot of people don't know he had his own bedroom set up. This almost, other than your fan, like a different fan, it almost looks like I'm looking at his son when my son was 16 and he started the business in his bedroom. So, and he was cold calling like crazy. So what's going on, man? What can I help you out with?
So you told me to update you about the list I was doing, right?
Okay.
And right now it's not going so good. Like I'm almost done with the list. I've been calling a lot of people, just that not a lot of people are interested. Like I think barely any. I don't think I haven't crossed someone yet.
Which list are you calling on?
You told me to call the high equity or like 40% higher, correct? Owner occupied. And I don't think it's going that well, which is
okay.
Which is totally.
How many calls are you into?
I do 100+ dials, like for new people. Is that good?
Are you just calling on the phone? Or are you using a dialer, or what are you using?
I'm calling on a phone.
So how many calls you into total now?
Today?
Well, I mean, for the last 2 weeks, or like however long you had this list.
Well, for right now, I do usually like 120+.
Okay. So that's just today, right?
Today, 90 plus so far.
Okay. So how many in the last, say, 7 days? Is this that times 7?
I'm not sure. Yes, I get at least 100+ dials a day. So.
Okay. And what market are you doing it local or virtually?
Virtually. Richmond, Virginia.
Okay. And how big was your list?
1,000. I had to niche it down because like it was like 19,000 people. So I had to niche it down a little bit so I can afford it, the list. So it's 1,100 people.
Dude, so here's the catch with high equity works. They're the right people. The problem is the lists are large and you have to get through them. So it's like a big giant list. If you had to compare it to like driving for dollars or doing like a government niche list, it's just more volume. It's easier to get the list, but you have to go through a lot more data. And I can't fix that for you, dude. Like it is what it is. And I sense your frustration with it, but I'm just here to tell you, you got to get, because the first wave is just filtering through people that want nothing to do with you. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And then just finding the ones that even have a slight interest in selling their property. And you just got to get through it and understand that's the game of cold calling. Right. When you do a bigger list, it is advantageous if you possibly can, but some people have restrictions. When you do a multi-line dialer, I'm not the best person at it. I'm an old school Mojo fan because that's what we did back in 2015, 16 when we did it. but it makes you 300% more efficient. Now,
Right.
it's tricky when you do it because it's weird because it literally hangs up on people, and it will give you a heart attack the first week you do it. But after a while, you go, "Holy crap! I just ripped through 1,000 people in like a day or two," and that's the only difference. So that's the only other thing you can consider. Number one, you're only 17, so I wouldn't like lose sleep completely over it. Where are you physically located?
Texas.
Okay, what part of Texas?
It's like 40 minutes away from Dallas, so South Lake, Texas.
Yeah, you were the one doing the work with your dad's in the business, right?
My dad's not in the wholesaling business. He's a mortgage broker, but he
Yeah.
does
Okay. No,
invest.
he's just in real estate in general. Got it. So you're going to have to find the list that's going to give you the most production. The problem with doing some of the virtual markets is it's hard to get the government list, and obviously driving for dollars is out of the question. Have you tried to get any of the government lists online?
I'm actually going to do that right after I do this list.
Now do
So,
that. But listen, here's what I want you to do. How big? What did you narrow your high equity list down to?
well, usually my buy criteria is 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, minimum square footage of 1,000. I made them have a garage at least. So it's a lot. Is it okay if I
Yeah.
say it all? Or
What's that?
is it okay if I say it all my criteria?
It's up to you. Yeah, I mean, it's not.
Okay.
I don't. I wouldn't say everything out loud because I don't want everyone to duplicate it. But if you're not having much luck with that list, maybe you can help people out. Here's the one thing I'll tell you. When I started, honestly, I try to always pick like the perfect house. So when I started in Florida, I picked a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Certain year. Between you and me, I throw all those filters out the window. I wouldn't have enough people to contact if I put those type of filters on there. And I want you to think about this too. The older a property is, usually the more problems come with it and the more headaches. So just think about the future ones you do. I could care less how many bathrooms a house has anymore. Like I just don't care. I'm looking for problems. In the beginning, to be honest with you, I think I was biased and I picked houses like, okay, I could see myself living in a house like this. So you might want to change some of your criteria because a lot of like the worst house for me to sell is a 1-1. There's literally houses that are 1-1. Don't ask me how. They were all built in the 40s here in Florida. But I buy a lot of them. I buy a lot of 2-1s. I buy a lot of 3-1s. When I first started out, I didn't do any of those. And I found out they're much less desirable. So maybe you change some of your desirability on these houses. And I know you're like, well, damn, I can't sell it then. Trust me, someone will always buy these houses for a rental or something else. So the only thing I advise to you I don't want to completely change what you're doing, but your future list, don't obsess over like how many bedrooms and baths it has. Because the reality is, if it's a piece of real estate, it will sell. Even a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, even a 1-1, they all sell. And honestly, sometimes they're easier. And sometimes having a little bit more ease when you start out wouldn't be the hardest thing in the world. Because let's face it, what was your filters? How many bedrooms? Uh-oh, I lost JD. JD got to hop back on. If your filters on there is 3-bedroom, 2 baths with a garage, guess what? Every realtor and everybody is going to chase you down for the exact same thing. So I want you to understand, like, don't limit your filters. Guys, you're not living in these houses. You're not really technically personally buying them for your own thing. So get rid of your own filters and just think about that. So okay, I go to click people and they disappear on me here. So Nina, you there?
Hey, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's going on?
Okay, awesome. So, a couple of things. I was looking at that probate video, and you referenced someone that you used for like outsourcing data services, like for them to kind of crunch your list or organize it. Do you want to say who it is you use for that?
Well, I'm not going to give you my person because it took me 5 years to train her, but I found him on Fiverr.
Oh, Fiverr.
And the reason
So
I
you
like
use
Fiverr
that. Okay.
is, and not everything's $5 on Fiverr. You guys got to get rid of that.
Mhm.
Is Fiverr is basically hell, I don't, for all I know, Upwork owns Fiverr. I don't know, but Upwork, people are looking for long-term employment. Fiverr is like, hey, test me out. And if you like what I did, then maybe I got a shot at full-time employment for you. So
Ah,
I find Fiverr, you can do a one and done, and people
okay.
are much more eager. So occasionally I'll get like I just did this last week. I got data on a spreadsheet and I go, how do I filter this? Here's what I want. And I made a list of 6 things
Mm-hmm.
and I sent to them. They charged me $10, guys. $10, and they sent it back in such a beautiful format. It was almost too pretty for my eyes. And then I can use that worksheet for the next like 3 to 4 years, as long as I see that trend happening.
Wow.
If you could do it yourself, great. If you're good with Excel, but like there's people all over the world, people have master's degrees and doctor's degrees, and like they have no job opportunities. So for them to take your list for like 10 or $20, it's unbelievable what they can do. Here's another example. Sometimes we get code violations and they're in like PDF format.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're scanned. There are people out there with software, OCR, optical recognitions, all this other stuff. By the time I buy the software, $200 to $500, I learn and train on it. I download everything, and then I spend probably 50 hours trying to learn it. I can just use someone else for 10 or $20, and they'll just do the whole damn thing for me. And this is where you guys got to understand, you don't have to buy the lawnmower. You can have so Fiverr is like having somebody cut your lawn once as a test. Whereas if you go to Upwork, if you want to like do a year-long contract, that's where you go from that. And that's the best way to do it. I like Fiverr because it's in and out. And if you don't like their work, you technically don't have to pay them. But for $10, you got to be realistic on like what you're getting. You have to clearly communicate to them what you're trying to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
And on a spreadsheet, because it's mathematical and it's equations and it's columns and rows, it should be able to be done. I think ChatGPT has changed a lot of how people work with Upwork and Fiverr. But when it comes to spreadsheets, give them a shot. We have a code violation list we get from a certain county. I just give it to her every time. I don't even want to mess with it. I pay $20 every time because it's like 85 pages. It takes us forever to do it.
Okay. And then on that probate, when I get my report, I see a lot of families where there's a lot of petitioners, and then maybe one of them is a rep, but sometimes it just says petitioner. So do they interchange that? Like, because I'm trying to figure out, okay, petitioner for this property or representative for this property, but I'm not always seeing the word representative.
Statistically, I'm not a lawyer, but the person who petitions is predominantly going to be the PR of the executor.
Oh, okay.
So
what if they list multiple petitioners? Because I'm seeing that too. Well,
it depends on like different states on it, but for the most part, once again, I'm not a lawyer. I believe, I guess they could appoint multiple executors, but it's rare. Someone's got to make a decision, because if 2 people argue, nothing ever gets done. So usually the petitioner hires an attorney to file the probate. Probates can be done on a per se basis, but by the way, the ones I've been involved where the petitioner did all the paperwork themselves, they're 100% every time a disaster. So honestly, when people go to file it themselves, they think they're saving a buck. It's usually a nightmare. So I usually introduce them to an attorney, because they always do it wrong, and judges don't like people filing probate cases without lawyers. So when you see a pro per se, when they did all the paperwork themselves, usually the courts will kick it out and really recommend them to get a lawyer. And that's where my services come in even better. But the downside with that is it takes a lot longer than actually if they just would have hired a lawyer to get it done.
Got it. And then on the water shutoff list, when I pulled the list, it's huge, but it's because it's a list of who they service water to, and it's everyone under the sun. And I took out all the commercial codes. Any listing that had commercial, I just got rid of them. So I'm just at the ones that say residential. So now I'm looking at the columns where they say consumption, and then what was actually paid. And so, or billed, I mean, and the ones that are actually billed and show like a bunch of zeros because they're like snowbirds, they're not really here for the hot season.
Uh-huh.
Those ones I know, well, that's why. So they're not technically selling. But do you have a way to decipher a little more like how to actually get right to the ones who are like defaulting? Like
So here's the
not the
problem.
payment?
Every public utility company does it different. It's
Oh,
a
okay.
so you have to like you're going through the right process. You have to find out the codes
Mm-hmm.
and all the little tricks to it. I do the same thing you do. Get rid of the businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, in Florida, we have a lot of snowbirds, and if we have to sort through that, but most snowbirds, they don't really shut the water off here for that because it's because they got to pay a new application fee every time they turn their water on. So, but you got to know what your city or county's protocol is to turn the water on and off. And here's the problem: like in Florida, we have like every utility company. Usually, each city runs their own water, and then the disaster ones are the ones that run electric. Oh my God! So I have one where I have I think 5 rental properties. The deposit just to turn on your electric's $500, and they don't care. And then they can put a lien on the property when the tenant doesn't pay. And so I have to keep an extra deposit just for utilities. But when it comes to water, like some of them are very painful. It's a $250 application fee in a lot of the counties I work with to turn your water on. So they won't shut them off. But some people only have like a $10 or $20, and then people rather just shut it off for 6 months while they're a snowbird. So the problem is it's very local specific to your market. And you've got to like, the weather patterns, the travel patterns, and you just got to find out what the fees are to turn stuff on. And then from there you deduct, okay, these are the people going to shut off. And honestly, it's going to be trial and error in the first 60 to 90 days.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's
Yeah,
so
because the
different in
list is
Florida. I couldn't even
huge.
like tell you. Getting the list is the hardest part. And when the fact you got the hardest part, now you just got to sort through it. Same thing happens with code violations.
Yeah.
Even fire damaged properties, you got to go through what's a major fire, what's a minor fire.
Okay.
And you just have to learn it. And the problem is I have over 3,500 counties. It would be a full-time job for me and 20 other people to even try to put that list together in a year.
So another question, if something like on the probate list, I noticed there's a status that says open or closed, and I only pulled open, but this status is saying closed. Does that mean they finished probate and then the property
Most
isn't even
likely, but once
accessible?
again, you want to ask who's ever at the probate courts, just ask them for clarification. Does this mean that the probate's closed and like it's already been moved?
Oh, okay.
Also, you could look up, if they don't give you an answer, you could look up that closed probate property. File, and see if there's real estate related to see if the, a probate's closed when the name changes on the deed. Because the only way you can change a deed in a probate is somebody has to physically sign it, or if the person's deceased, they have to get a court order to transfer it to their next of kin, their heirs or whatever it is. There's only 2 ways to move a deed over, and you can't do it any other way.
So if the petitioner lives at the address that the deceased person was at too, do we just not call them, right? Because they probably want to hang on to where they're living at? Or do you call them?
It's a judgment call.
Oh, okay.
You got to understand, sometimes if someone's ever going to sell a property, it's when somebody passes away in there. So I look at it as like a heart of a person, like say you lived with someone 30 or 40 years. But if they're probably ever open for a change, it's at that time. But once again, probate's very personal. I don't make listen, I didn't cold call people for years because I didn't want to offend them. Like and then my son goes, either you call or people are going to beat you to the punch. I'm like, okay, you got a point.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go in with a good attitude, trying to help, just say, hey, listen, is there any interest in selling the house? You can never have too many probate leads. So that's the problem. The only ones I ever tried to filter out were children, and that's still even hard to do to this day.
Mm-hmm.
So
when you get your list, like I'm aware September is right around the corner, so I'll be pulling for what happened in August. But how quickly do you turn around that list so you can start calling before you got to worry like, I'm already too late?
Well, listen, I mail each one my probate letter, like you all have it at freewholesaling.com.
Yeah.
And then I just call. Like I call until I get an answer, or I'll call them 3 or 4 times. The first time I don't leave a message. You got curiosity kills people. You guys know when you miss a phone call, if you leave it there, 8 out of 10 of you will call that person back and go, hey, did you just try to call me? So that one works. The third time I'll leave a message. And the fourth time I get a little bit, hey, just trying to call you. I don't tell them I'm looking to buy their house, because the minute you do that, they might not talk to you. But after a certain amount of calls, like it's just over. I don't sit there and pound the crap out of people. Like it's either they get it or they don't. The whole point of doing a warm call, aka a cold call, is the speed to lead. After 3 or 4 weeks goes by, you no longer have a speed to lead advantage. Now they're getting all the mail. They're definitely getting pounded by other phone calls. So after 30 days, it's not a fresh lead, and your odds of connecting with them go way down. That's where the probate letter catches a lot of people that don't respond by phone. I have so many people that will pick up my letter and go, listen, I got your letter. I'm like, I'll ask them, when was it dated? They're like, it was dated 3 months ago. Like, yeah, I don't take phone calls. I've had everyone calling me. But she goes, I liked your letter. I want to talk to you about it. That's it. So it's the McDonald's Burger King approach. But honestly, I'm not the type of guy who's going to call someone like 36 times. And like after 30 days, if I can't connect with them on the phone, you're probably not going to be connecting with them on the phone. It's just the truth. So now if you want to try to send them a text afterwards as like a catch-all, that's not going to kill anybody. But the whole purpose of a warm call is a speed to lead. And the idea is whoever can connect with that lead first, if they're open to talking to someone like us, wholesalers, whoever connects first always has the upper hand. And I learned that the hard way doing it. And then my son's like, stop mailing to me. You're wasting your time and money. I'm like, and I proved him wrong, but he proved me wrong with the warm call. So we put it together and it made like the perfect scenario for probates. So you never know how someone's going to respond. Are they going to answer the phone or are they going to answer a letter? So just send both if you can do it. And after 30 days, I just kind of move on.
Okay. I have a question on a property that I saw on FSBO.
Okay.
It is actually 2 units they converted into one. So it's bigger than everybody else's unit, which maybe that's not a good thing for them. But their condo fee is really high, or their HOA fee is really high because of it, because they get an HOA for both of the units.
Okay.
Okay. So when you look at that, the price that she has listed on the FSBO is a little lower than the Zillow estimate.
Makes sense.
Yep. And so I was thinking it's already looking like a good deal, but if the average person's just looking and assuming it's like one of the other ones, and it doesn't look like a great deal because the rest of them are around that price. But when you talk to her and you see, oh no, this is actually one very large unit that was 2. Do you think that's worth spending the time if she's only looking to go down another $5,000 off of what she listed on
all you can
FSBO?
do is call and ask. But like, so here's how it works. Cash flow 101 of real estate. If I have a property and it's $1 million, okay, I'm just using this for an extreme example, but there's no HOA fees. You pay your regular, real estate tax. The insurance is still going to be high. And then I got a really nice, decent condo 2 blocks from it, on the water, same type of deal. And you see it's for $600,000. You're like, wait a minute, same square footage, everything. And then you find out, but it's got a giant HOA fee. People are going to expect to pay less because they have to pay more every month. And then the market is very smart. It's just like the stock market. It's just like how they do these point spreads in all sports games. How they figure it out to like 95% of the time, the points always come in with a point or two of what the spread is. They do the exact same thing in real estate. So you have to figure out, you got to understand, if you have $1 million property of $600,000, but one has a $2,500 a month payment and the other one doesn't, but you got to do apples to apples. That $2,500 probably includes the insurance, maybe the water, maybe the landscaping. And then you got to ask the person in $1 million home, how much does all your bills add up to? And people don't like Listen, nobody likes HOA fees, but people like HOAs. So it's like a catch-22 as an investor. And that's the problem is it can look attractive, but everybody gets excited about it and they don't want to pay the fee. So the bottom line is you still have to find motivation from there. Now I find people with large HOAs, they tend to become motivated very quickly, but find out for it, but don't, if you're going to take two things and they were like the same size and one had a more expensive fee per month, that property should get a discount because it's going to cost that homeowner more. So if they don't see an incentive buying it, then they won't do it. They'd rather go with $1 million home type of deal. So this happens with HOAs all over the country, guys. But keep in mind, a lot of HOAs, it pays for insurance. Sometimes it pays for cable. Sometimes it pays for water. So my only thing is, if you're concerned about that HOA, you have to break down either by the realtor or the homeowner and find out what it pays for. So when you go to sell that property, you can represent it correctly to the cash buyers because they're going to like, why is it $600 a month? That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
They go, well, it includes this, this, and this. And if you paid for an own, it cost you like $450 a month. The other 150 is just for the right to own in that thing. And that's it. Because when people hear big HOAs, they just go, I'm out. Like, I can't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they can't. But like sometimes if you break it down, it'll make sense. Like if everything's included in the HOA, but you got to know those numbers. So make sure there's motivation for there.
Mm-hmm.
And then ask for a detailed breakdown of what that HOA is, and then maybe you can make sense of the math. But some of the HOAs are nuts. Heck, I got places out here by the beach, now by the beach, it's hard. It's a very saltwater environment. It's like 150 grand a year just for the HOA because it costs so much to maintain the property. So it's like,
wow.
I've seen it from 150 to, and then I just bought a property the other day. It's $50 a year. You just got to do an application fee. So it's like, what do you get with it? Listen, guys, I used to live in a house where the guy next door to me, which was a friend of mine, he would build monster trucks all through the night. And I had to put like tinfoil on my windows so my babies could get sleep. So I understand the value of an HOA. This was in Port St. Lucie. I swear to you on this statement, it really happened. So I like HOAs, but I do, some of them are like really expensive and they're very, and if it has a reputation of being a big enforcer, like they're really nasty to people, most people don't want to buy in those communities. So just size it up. But for the most part, buyers do not like big, giant fees. They're already tired of the real estate taxes. The insurance is crazy. Mm-hmm. The HOA, most people are like, oh, crap, here's an HOA. I don't want to deal with it. But it is what it is.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Nina. You got any other questions?
No, I pulled, you know what I did? I think you were just talking about this on the FSBOs. They have a way that you can pull all of the over 90 days or 80 days, right? Like give you those listings for like each county you're requesting, and it just gives it to you in an Excel spreadsheet. It's really nice.
Let's go. What are you getting that through?
It was in Zillow, and I think it was an individual because my friend pulled it for me and he's like, oh, there's an easier way to do this, because I was looking at each FSBO thing and taking me forever. And then he just pounded out like 5 different counties in 2 seconds. I'm like, oh my gosh, but it's a trial period. So I'll ask him and I'll tell you in the next meeting, but I just know that he pulled something up under Zillow. It's an agent of Zillow. So,
well,
but
give it a shot.
Because
you guys know how I feel about FSBO Zillows. It's a little bit torturous, but honestly, which one's worse, that or MLS? I don't know. Like you beat your head against the wall. Like there's some people love it. They can just get through it, and they like that they don't have to pay for the phone numbers and they get everything. But it's challenging because it takes a lot more leads to get that done. So
so for 7 counties, there were actually 94 leads. And I'm like, it would have taken me weeks to pull all that together. But with this thing, it just spits it out in 2 seconds. So now I just had to pull the phone numbers and I'm just plowing through these calls. I mean, most people aren't answering and I have to leave a message,
Yeah.
but I'm able to plow through them quickly. But when you were saying you really got to do about 100 a day, I'm like, oh, wow, that was 7 counties worth to pull
Yeah.
90-day,
Okay.
days on market.
Well, Nina, let me know how it works out. And
Okay,
I
and I'll
appreciate
tell
your
you who
call.
it is that's got that list, because that would be convenient for everyone. I mean, you could literally do all 50 states and it'd take you less than a half a day to pull
I would
all
love
of
to
those.
hear it. Let me know.
Okay, I will.
Okay, Nina, I'll talk to you.
Yep, thanks.
Bye. Keith, you there?
Hey, yeah, I'm here. What's up, Rick?
What's going on, man?
Not much. Trying to get something worked out of this deal I got in West Virginia. Kind of a crazy market, but I got the lead I got through your Facebook hack, which is kind of another question I had. One person had on the Facebook group, and I responded. They said, "How do you get into the Facebook hacks?" And what I did, I just started looking through them, and a lot of them they didn't have the comments. But the more I started looking at those, the more the algorithm just put them in my thing. So actually, this is actually the two that I've gotten that way.
We got a lead off this today. I was working with one of our employees, and I'm just like, I'm telling you, it's for
It works.
real.
It worked.
People pay thousands of dollars to have paid Facebook ads, and they don't monitor the comments.
That's all you got to do is somebody has an unanswered question.
And I do appreciate the people that respond and like block us immediately. I'm okay with that.
Right.
But like, I've got one running for 4 months now. We've gotten 3 different leads off of it. And I know the guy who posted the ad, he pays $3,500 a month to keep these ads up and running. And I don't say a word. Like, I'm like, listen, someone told me once, all's fair in wholesaling.
Love it.
I go,
Yeah.
if you're dumb enough to post ads like that and use a third-party agency, I will take you to the cleaners all day long.
That's right. They're just sitting there.
Because what happens is people comment that actually need to sell their house, and they'll say, I tried to call you, didn't answer. You're not responding. What's going on? And they get frustrated. And they're like, hey, listen, I'm in the local market.
It's the name of the game. You answer the phone.
Yeah, and then I always start with the DM, and then from there they give me a phone number, and then once we got a phone number, it's like, but you got to have speed with it, though, because that's how we get most of the leads. People do not wait 4 days to respond on like a Facebook thing.
Right. Yeah, they want it.
By the way, guys, I get a lot of hate for sharing this hack. I don't care. I am not on the bandwagon. I don't care, because the gurus are the ones teaching everyone to do this. It's so funny. Sometimes I'll have I have like these, so I get targeted a lot on LinkedIn and stuff like that. I'm like, I'll show you how to grow your social media following. I go,
oh yeah,
show me yours. Every time. Every time I go, you got 300 followers.
Well, in a way,
I'm kind of over 300,000. How the hell are you going to help me out? Like, if you can't do what you preach, why the heck would I ever hire you? Same thing with Facebook ads. People are just really lazy. They're looking for everybody to do everything for me. And there's a way you can get it. So if you go over to freewholesaling.com, we kind of we have an entire video we did on this. So it's, as long as it lasts, it'll be there. But I just think it happened by accident, but it kept happening over and over. I'm like, so me and Zach struggled. Should we share this or not? And so I've gotten 4 ad agencies that call me. They're like, man, you're just creating hell in our workforce. I'm like, because you guys are just taking money from people. But what they do is they hire VAs from all over the world, and nobody monitors the ads. They just post them.
Right. And I'm sure they get enough calls back that they're thinking their ad is working and they're doing something, but in the meantime, the falls through the cracks. I'll take every one of them.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts, man. I think it's just, it's crazy, man. So that's
one
awesome.
came to me. One of them's in West Virginia, so it's really been difficult, and it's probably a teardown. It's ripped down to the studs. Somebody could probably put the money into rehabbing it, but I mean, she had some offers, had it up above about 22 to 25,000, but nobody's going through. I've actually got her. I've been hesitant on I could call her right now and get it under contract for 10,000 for right now. I know I'm just kind of hesitant because I've already been kind of talking to some other, people in there, just trying to do a little bit of marketing before a contract even. But, it's been, tough. I've got a couple of people wanting to go by and take a look at it, but it's I don't know what do you think about that?
Well, I don't have any of the numbers. I can tell
Yeah.
you, how many deals have you done?
0.
Okay, so don't get too greedy and just like get it done. Like some people, like you wait for like the perfect home run.
Mm-hmm.
You got a challenging property. Are you doing it virtually?
Yes. Yeah, I'm in
So,
Memphis, Tennessee. This one I got off the Facebook hack.
so how many days what's your inspection period?
So I haven't even got it under contract yet, is what I'm saying. I was even a little nervous to pull the trigger because it's just, I know it's going to be difficult to move. I've even talked to a couple of people already about it to see if they might be interested. And I mean, she's already told me she'd be willing to sign a contract for $10,000 for the property. And I offered it to the guy. I said, what if I can get you this for $12.50, $12.5? Are you? So, I mean, I'm not trying to be greedy. I just, like you said, I just want to have my proof of concept, get my first deal. So it's just, I know it's a rough one, but Parkersburg, West.
Like, listen, keep in mind, you're not living in these properties. Just get it under contract. Have you tried to get a better price on it with her? Go, listen, I'll sign a contract to you. I can do it for 8 and I'll have it executed and sent over to you right away. Will that work for you? Just see what she says.
I can try that. I've been working her down when she started with about 20,000.
Here's your worst case scenario. You can probably sell it for 10 or 12 with your eyes shut. So you might as well ask for a little bit better discount now because she's got a problematic property. Try to put a 30-day inspection period on there just because of the condition of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Get under contract and then go crazy with your cash buyers. That's all you can do.
Gotcha.
Don't
Yeah, I was actually following along with your other video about a year old about filling out all the forms because I got all the contracts and I'm like, oh wow, forgot which one to do first, and then I forgot about this video, so I paused to check out this, and so yeah, I've worked her down and got her to agree they need to sell it to 10,000, but sort of verbally agreement. She needs to do something with it this week. Her husband got hurt. They were going to rehab the property, and now she's having to have surgery also, so she's in a bit of a hurry.
I would get it under contract, and even if you only get the 10. Just try to do a 30-day inspection period and then go crazy trying to get cash buyers in there.
All right. Yeah, I've already been.
Remember, if you hang on too long, someone's going to take the deal from you because their motivation sounds like it's only going to go up. So you might as well take one shot. Just go, listen, if we can do 8, I can send it over now. I'll get everything going. We'll have this thing closed before you know it. And just kind of go with the like, let's go, let's get it done. And then she's like, yeah, well, I talked about 10.
Uh-huh.
Maybe try 9, but try to get that discount before she signs. But regardless, go, listen, whatever I send over, it's got to be signed today. And just put a 30-day inspection. If she balks about it, go, listen, it's a challenging property. So I got to make sure I'm getting what I'm paying for it. And that's it.
Good deal.
Just give it a shot, man. I sometimes the price, you guys understand, it's just a number. It's just a random value people come up with. I don't think you're going to get it much cheaper, right? It's like,
yeah. It's basically land.
Well, you're gonna ask for like $1,000 or $2,000. It's like crazy,
right? Basically land. And so search it, fill out the PSA first. Right now, one of the PSA, and it says seller and buyer. Am I the buyer? That's just of the contract. That doesn't mean I'm buying the property myself, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And remember, you can assign the contract, and you can basically. So you do the purchase and sale agreement. It's a 2-page. You go to freewholesaling.com, you get it there. And then once you find a cash buyer, you fill out an assignment of contract, which is a separate contract.
Right.
So say you put it under contract for 10, you sold it to him for 13. You would get a $3,000 assignment fee, and then he would take over the entire contract plus your assignment fee. It's like really simple, and the title company will facilitate the whole thing. So PSA agreement, then the assignment of contract. And it's like just that simple. And
gotcha.
Like, remember, as long as your contract's assignable, which ours is, you can easily sell it. And then technically, as long as you're not the buyer, just make sure if you're using your name as the buyer that you honor the inspection period, because I don't want you getting stuck with a bad house.
Gotcha.
And remember, it's common for the rougher a house is, meaning condition wise, the higher the frequency it's going to fall out of contract. Let me repeat that, guys. The worse the condition of a property, the higher probability of it falling out of contract. Why? Because there's a lot of unknowns in properties, and we put it under contract, and then we start to do diligence with our cash buyers, and they start finding all sorts of problems. There's some stuff that you're just never going to know.
That's what happened on this property twice already. Is how I got her down. That's what her first offer was, 22,000, and then so I was just throwing numbers out there because I knew it was a difficult property. I mean, anywhere West Virginia is probably a difficult.
And that's the problem, guys. When you put properties under contract for values that are never going to work, you just do the guy behind you a favor, like guys like Keith, because they're prime. Once you screw them over, like, oh yeah, take a 22. Like, would you take 10? Like, yeah.
Now she's desperate. Now she's got to do something with it quick, and she's sick, and I want to help them. That's the biggest thing. I mean, if it wasn't for the conversation she and I had, and she's sick, and I really want to figure this out. If it was, she was just like, whatever, and I'd like to sell the property, I probably would just move on. But we had a good conversation. Keith,
I'm confident you can do this. Go get it under contract. Ask for the best price without her hanging up on you. Get her to sign the contract. If it's eight, 9, or 10 grand, get her to sign it right there while she's on the phone with you, and go get a cash buyer. Like, I just don't think you can get hurt in this deal. But just make sure you honor your inspection period and go with it. And don't try to sell it till you have it under contract, because someone's going to backdoor you on it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, man. Awesome job. See you. Okay, Yvonne, you there?
Hi.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm working through it. So I've been working with Zach, and he gave me some great information. I was on a call last night, and I'm just trying to narrow down. So I had my virtual assistant to work today, but I'm thinking that my list is something wrong with my list. Zach had mentioned on the call last night, phone calls that come up as scam likely. That could be an issue, that people are not answering. And it was, I talked to him about pull-in lists, government lists. I have PropStream, batch leads. This is running me through the ringer. So when you said that this call was $300 can lead you to 200,000, I needed to be on this call today.
Just like, honestly, a lot of the stuff on there, it's not as difficult as people think, but so many people in this business think you've got to throw so much money at everything. And it's only, I've met some of the most broke people, greatest people, like great attitude, everything, and they still make it. And the reason is, have you ever met, let's face it, you guys ever met that kid when you grew up? They had everything, like the perfect parents.
Yeah.
They got the new car at like 15, even before they were 16. Guys, I didn't get a new car till I was 31. And I had to finance my butt off of it to like pay for it. Honestly, a lot of you think that your upbringing has been a detriment to where you are now. I'm just telling you, the one thing I've noticed, and you all notice it too, most of you just won't admit it. People who come up hungry, meaning they just didn't have a lot, they just want it so much more than other people. Take a person that has everything, they will struggle usually their entire life because everything's been handed to them. They've never had to work for anything. So you have to embrace the journey of wholesaling. Everything I mentioned in the beginning of this live stream, it's all true. I had no money when I started this. A lot of you go, oh, well, Rick, it was so much easier back then. Listen, I've heard that since 2003. When I started in 2003, they told me it's way oversaturated. You're going to get killed. Don't even try to do it. Thank God I didn't listen to people. So I'm telling you, it's there. It's the name of the game is whoever takes the most action with precision, without going broke, wins. Because here's the reality. If I give you 10 grand a month, do you think you'd be that much more proficient to get a deal in 90 days? If I put somebody in there with $300, do you really think you would beat them? Like, you should have a favorable chance. But the reality is money doesn't always buy you a real estate deal. Now, it'll buy you a coach or a guru, and it will pump your ego up through the door. But I'm here to tell you, at the end of the day, I looked at my first 10 deals I did in wholesaling, and they were very, very minimal amount of money I spent. And it was the best learning tool I ever had in this business. Now, when I got money, I smoked through like 100 grand, guys, 100,000, and I didn't do that good. And then I went back to the old school tactics, driving for dollars, reverse driving for dollars, government list. I mean, you name it, I did it. And I wasn't really a cold caller when I started out because number one, nobody taught it to me and I didn't understand it and I feared it. But I door knocked, as crazy as that sounds. It would have been so much more efficient to do the cold calling. So if you're doing cold calling, you do have to find out the intricacies if you're coming up spam likely. As technology changes, these carriers get smarter, but everyone's got to find their groove. I'm just not a cold caller. Like I didn't grow up. I didn't do it for a long time. It doesn't mean my business doesn't do it, but I'm not the authority. If you ask me how to cold call, I'm going to refer you to my son. I understand the mechanics of cold calling and I love calling individual motivated seller leads. Call 10,000 people. I suck at it. And I let my son run that department because it's frustrating. It's like, to me, it's painful. It's hard. And for those of you who do it with a great attitude, I commend you. But Yvonne, you just got to kind of find your niche because you can throw money all day long. I hear this all the time. A guru charges, say, 5 or 10 grand. And then they go, listen, I want you to spend $5,000 a month on marketing. You know why they tell you that? Because they don't have to do any work for that. They don't even have to think. We're going to give you 100 motivated sellers leads. And if you could just do one and it's even marginal, I make you look like a rock star. But say 3 months goes by, you spend 15 grand plus the 5 grand you pay the guru, or you pay 20 grand, and then you make 5 grand on a deal. You're like, he's just made $5,000. I'm like, I'm 15 grand in the hole. And honestly, I'm no more confident now. Now I'm concerned I'm going to lose 15 grand every time I do a deal. And that's the problem when people spend money. Honestly, at the end of the day, we're all the same people. We all put our pants on one leg at a time. Some of you do too. I don't know how you do it. And all it is really the fundamentals of talking and communicating to people and just becoming even more efficient. I listened to an entire podcast today and it said, it's talking about charisma. We never really think of it. You know, that like extra charm people have, you're like, man, I like her. Like, I don't even know her, but like, I just like Yvonne, so stuff like that. And it talks about how charisma, either you invite somebody with the right vibes in your life or you repel them. And if you don't understand the difference, you're going to struggle in life. So they're trying to teach you, you actually have to learn how to be charismatic. It makes your life easier. So the struggle with being charismatic is the people who want to be dead right and exact. An extreme example is Steve Jobs. You know who Steve Jobs is, right?
Of course, yes.
Yeah. I mean, he's known as an ass in the business because he was so difficult, but what he did to society was crazy. But at the end of the day, he said, I would give it all up to do relationships because I didn't do it right. And then you have the extreme opposite person, the person that wants to be liked by everyone. And we all know people like that. I used to be that person. I want everyone to like me. And it bothers you when people don't like you. The problem with that one is you're so busy trying to be liked that nobody respects you. And it is a fine line between being respected and getting to the truth and being charismatic in between. And that's all we do when it breaks down to it. I don't care if you cold call, you send mail, you door knock, you reverse driving for dollars. It's what it all comes to. And we just get better over time. Some people get much better over time. Some people actually get worse. But what I try to tell everybody on these calls is it doesn't matter if you spend $3,000 or $300. I'm here to tell you, one's going to buy you resources and one's going to force you to be resourceful.
Yeah.
If you can do them both together, it's amazing. But I find people that buy resources, they tend to ignore the resourcefulness, meaning like, I don't want to do that. That's what other people do. I'm not doing that crap. Yeah. And if you can do a combo of the both, it's unbelievable. But if I had to choose between it, listen, buying resources will always buy you a lead or stuff. It doesn't mean you're ever going to close it. And the ability to close a wholesale deal is you have to have X amount of interactions and you got to be willing to learn from it. Heck, we should learn from AI. ChatGPT, it learns from every interaction it has with someone. And sometimes as humans, we're not as bright to do that. I'm not talking about you, Yvonne. I'm just like,
right, I understand.
Because I can sense what you're talking about. And I'm telling you, sometimes you got to slow down. Whenever I got misguided in wholesaling, I always look back, where did I get my last 3 to 5 deals from? And they go, oh, I go, what the hell am I trying all this crap for? And I just went back to that same pool and I did it every time. A lot of people accuse me, go, Rick, a lot of your stuff's really basic. It's because it's the truth to this business. It should be boring and mundane because that's how you make money in wholesaling. If it's exciting and people are talking on stage stuff, you're usually getting ripped off. And it's just a dead truth, period.
Now, I have a question in regards to the batch leads.
Okay.
So batch leads, same as True People Search. It has, when you skip trace, it can have up to 9 numbers.
It's a lot.
So Zach, I didn't get on the call to talk to him last night, but he had said to go with the top 3 for True People Search. Is there a number that you should go with on batch leads that you should stick with? And he said to go with the mobile numbers versus landlines. Because maybe.
Yeah, I mean, landlines are dying phone numbers, but some of the older people carry them. Okay. Once again, I'm not going to be, I don't want to give you bad information because I am not a physical cold caller. And I don't give advice on what I do. I'm the guy who's responsible for paying and like gathering all the data. But Zach does the KPIs for everyone who does the cold calls for us. But for simplistic versions, usually the first number through like number 4, those are 90% of your contacts. If the data software separates it from landline to mobile numbers are usually going to be a better play. But sometimes older people, we're in the state of Florida where everybody's old, including me. So you got to kind of play with the data in your certain market. But the thing is, when you jump to another market, which we often do in virtual marketing, it can be completely different. Like nobody even uses a landline in this state. I found Tennessee was very different from Florida, as opposed to Virginia, as opposed to Texas. So once again, all real estate's local and you got to look at specific stuff, but reserve that question for Zach because I want to, maybe he'll give you a better answer on it. And that's the beauty of working with both of us. But I mean, it sounds like you use a lot of software companies, right?
Yes, too many. I have too many subscriptions. One other question that I have in regards to pulling lists. So I'm in Michigan, and I mean, I've tried. I've gone to the county, I've gone to the city, certain cities, and I've tried to pull lists, and they want you to FOIA everything and pay for it. And that's just so expensive because you don't know.
A FOIA you don't pay for a FOIA.
Yeah, in Michigan you do. They're horrible.
It's a Freedom of Information Act. The whole idea is that they should legally release it to you. If they want to charge you a fee for pulling it, it has nothing to do with a FOIA. A FOIA is a request. If they want to charge for it because their county or city or municipality charges for it, that's crazy. I always ask people if they're going to charge me for something like pulling a probate list or a code violations, I would just like to see your policies on how you deal with this information, because like I'm a tax-paying citizen. Why should I have to pay to pull the information that I already pay out of my taxes?
And that's what I told him. I said, you're already at work. Why am I paying additional something?
So you got to understand, you're dealing with the employees and they are good people in the community, but like sometimes you have to logically, without getting excited. Can you just walk me through this? Because I believe this entire department's paid with tax dollars. And last I checked, I'm a tax-paying citizen. Why would I have to pay when I've already paid with my tax dollars? I'm not asking for a custom. So by the way, they can charge you for a custom list. If they hand you the raw list, you should, in theory, Yvonne, be able to get it.
Okay.
But you have to walk through, and you have to keep getting to the point. They're going to give you objections to your churn blue because everyone's asking for the list. So walk them through it and just have a rational conversation. And the key is letting them know you're not going anywhere. Like, listen, I would really like the list as a tax-paying citizen and work through it. I've never ever said you're getting 100% compliance on the list, but you should get some of the list. Like you shouldn't be 0 for 6.
Right.
And if not, you need to reach out to other people in your community or other wholesalers that are possibly doing it and see if there's something you're missing. I already told you, I've had places where I go into the probate list when I used to do this, like in the early 2010s. I would go in and like they would kick me to the curb, and I would then send my wife in. That was sitting in the car in the parking lot. She came out with the whole damn list. I don't think they liked me, and like it wasn't personable, but like I
Right.
find that girls tend to connect with girls better, or sometimes it's vice versa. Some people like to flirt, do stuff like that. I don't know. They're people, and people sometimes they're a little bit out there, and I don't like. This is just. Have you been around society? Like this is how it works.
Yeah.
So you got to find out how long they'll keep going down that road, because sometimes they're just looking to blow you off. And if you let them know, listen, I'm not going anywhere. I'm making logical arguments. I need to understand how this works. Because why would I pay taxes if I can't even get the information? I'm a taxpayer. Now, a FOIA request is a federal document by the federal government. Filling out a FOIA is they cannot charge for a FOIA. You just can't do it. The whole idea is it's a request of freedom as a taxpayer. But I will tell you, you will never get anywhere filing a FOIA. And if you do, you'll get the information 3 to 6 months later, and it'll be useless. So
Yeah, and it was real expensive. It was like
no,
$200.
that's a
And
custom list is what they're trying to charge you for. So they
okay.
have programmers and they tell you it's $110 an hour to work on it. But no. I just want the raw list. I don't want any cut. I just want what the
And then they'll
taxpayers pay
say that
for.
they say
Yeah.
that, oh, it's thousands of people on that list.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, so then I just start
It's a
doing
simple.
driving
So
dollar.
let me ask you, Yvonne, let me give you a little exercise. If you ask them, they go, well, how do you want me to deliver this big file to you? What are you going to say?
They can send it to me in email.
What format would you like it in?
What is it? CSV or?
Yeah. So you're going to have to be very specific, because when the opportunity strikes, it's a small window.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, listen, a CSV file in the perfect world, because CSV file fits in everything.
Right.
Okay. They can do an Excel file. The fancy people call it an XLS file. Heck, they can send it to worst case scenario in a PDF format. But like you got to give them direction sometimes, because you got to understand on a CSV file, if I had one person on there or 800,000, it's the same thing. There's
Right.
no difference. Do you understand that? It's not that much data. It's a computer. It's used to doing things over and over. So if it's one person or 800,000, like we can get this done. It's called a computer. So you just have to be patient with them, work through them. I don't want you going like 0 for 6. You got to come up with at least one of them and build momentum from there.
Yeah.
Okay. And then sometimes I talk myself out of things, but like sometimes you do have to simplify your operations. And like sometimes you get too many subscriptions. Sometimes you're buying too many resources, and I'm giving you the honest to God truth. So my only suggestion is find one and go deep in it, and the one that you prefer. Now, some people like PropStream, some people like Batch. I like them both. Now, full disclosure, I use them both, but I have a pretty sophisticated operation, and that's what we do. But you got to find out, do you really need both? Like what's
Right.
really important? So I would sit down and find out what are the things that you have to have. And then maybe you could simplify some of your operations, because at the end, you're going to have to push the resourcefulness over the resources in wholesaling, because so many people try to lean on resources versus resourcefulness. And I find people that have the most resourcefulness usually dominate, and then they can go get the resources. But sometimes when you start with the resources, it becomes a crutch in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm just giving you my advice of doing this 21 years.
And one other quick question. I
Yeah.
have a meeting with a potential person that I'm gonna put a contract
Okay.
on her property, and I know for sure that I went too high on the property.
Uh-huh.
I said 75,000, and the lady, she said yes. And then I remember the video, go for the no.
Yeah.
I didn't go for the no. But so I drove past it, and I saw it was a little yucky neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I said, I probably need to be more at 55. So then that way, if I, put my amount on it, 5,000 to sell it for 60. So I just said that what I'll do is just say that the property looked like it needed a little bit more work than what I expected. Is that a great way to go about changing the dollar amount?
Yeah. Listen, you're better off recognizing it before you put it under contract, because then it's really painful.
Yeah.
So just recognize it and learn from the skill set going forward. You have to use the go for no method to protect you against examples just like this.
And then how do you, because she didn't want to put a lockbox on a property. How do you then bring a buyer to the property and she's going to be there? She doesn't live there. The place is vacant.
So how would she give access to the property?
So she's going to be there and she'll let me and the buyer in.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the virtual marketing challenges, is that exact example. And it happens a lot, and you have to prepare for it. The only way to really protect you against that is you'd have to find like a boots on the ground.
Oh no, I'm going to be there.
Oh, you're going to be there.
Yeah. I have a virtual
so that's doable, because without you, it's probably not. I'm just going to be honest with you. So if you bring in long as you educate your cash buyer and read them the rules before you get there, here's the deal. I'll let you in the property. You got 5 minutes. Walk the inside first, then you can walk the outside, and then I'll meet you at the car, or I'll meet you at the coffee shop around the corner.
Oh, okay.
And then guess what you do the entire time?
Just wait.
You engage the seller. You are the referee in a football game, and you're in the black and white suit, and you are separating the two and not letting them engage each other ever.
Oh, okay.
You have to. It's the most important. Here's the problem is, and make sure you know exactly who's showing up to the property. If 3 people show up, it's problematic, because you can only run so much distraction. But when you're there, the most important thing is it's got to be in and out business wise. You don't want a reaction to anything, and then they can meet you outside or whatever. And then you do not want to negotiate in front of the homeowner. It's a nightmare.
Yeah. So what would happen if I did want to try and have, because I do want to have multiple buyers to come at the same time.
Well, you're going to have to know what your seller's temperament is.
Okay.
And deal with it. Sometimes you can manage people. Sometimes like there's some sellers know I only get 1 or 2 people in there. Like I know. Okay. And other ones I could bring a marching band through. They wouldn't care at all. So it has to do with the personal seller's temperament, and you got to know it. And honestly, the first time you show it, you're going to find it out real quick.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I only got one opportunity. I try to bring 5 or 6 all in like a 45-minute period.
Okay.
And sometimes I bring the seller a gift. I bring them lunch, or what. Sometimes you got small windows and you got to make it work. This is all about being resourceful. No realtor is ever going to teach you the techniques we teach you at freewholesaling.com, because it's challenging. It's different. You got to be really resourceful. Like, why are all these people coming through the house? What's going on? I go, remember,
I'm a licensed realtor.
Yeah. And realtors could never bridge this gap when they do it. And that's what you got to understand. So focus. Yvonne, what I want to do is take the purpose of this, because I got to wrap this up. It's all about being resourceful. Okay. You're going to have to work on your resourceful muscle. And so like when you words like, hey, I'm trying to get the code violation list and stuff like that, get rid of the word trying and just go, listen, I'm making progress getting the code violation list.
Yes.
Because it's a journey, and eventually you will crack the code. It just might take some time. So don't give up. I know it's frustrating, but that's it. I gotta get running here. I'll be on all night.
All righty. Thank you.
Okay. See you, Yvonne. Okay, guys. Let me take this off here. So if you are new to this channel, go over to freewholesaling.com and make sure, if you got value from this, make sure you smash the like button. And for God's sakes, make sure you subscribe to my channel, Rick Ginn. Obviously, you can always check us out tomorrow on Flip with Rick. I'm doing an entire, I believe I'm doing an entire probate presentation, update everything. And we're going to deep dive in how to talk to people in probates, the best marketing channels. And the biggest frustration you guys always have is about that list. And then make sure you check out my son's channel on the Zach Ginn channel. That's on YouTube. And that's it, guys. So I appreciate you. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.